Hey Facebook, happy Friday again. Hope you're sitting down somewhere with, I don't know, maybe a glass of wine or a cup of tea and enjoying the end of a week. I'm not there yet, but but I'm getting there. Happy International Women's Day. That is what's kicked off my morning this morning. I got to celebrate that with the United Way of Northwestern Connecticut's Women's Leadership Initiative, who this morning honored Maria Gonzalez, who I know many of you know from Torrington, and her work there on behalf of many people. She is now with New Opportunities, which serves 65,000 people throughout Connecticut. And there are very few people, certainly in the Torrington area, who haven't either been touched by her service or inspired by it. So thanks, Maria. And it was also nice from one Maria to another to start off my day that way and to be with a great group of women. Earlier in this week, I went to the annual dinner of the Y of Northwestern Connecticut, where we got to honor another awesome woman, Jennifer Parsons of WZBG in Litchfield, and her work at WZBG and the staff at WZBG was honored for its many contributions to the community, but in particular their service to the Winsted youth services, which they've been an important part of over the years. So it was really nice to be part of both of those ceremonies where it's clear how important our community is and how many people are working to create community at a time when there are a lot of forces that pull us apart. Political polarization, technology, all kinds of things, but clearly there is a craving for something else, and there are lots of people out there creating it, so be on the lookout, and there are lots of good people doing great work. So I want to touch on a couple themes. Actually, the theme of International Women's Day is balance for better, which I actually find kind of useful way to think about some of the things that we've been doing this year, because I think, in the last few weeks and as we move forward, balance in particular is something that I think is really important as we really move to some of the first of all, the big hot topics that we're going to have to resolve here, and also as the budget as we dig further into the budget process, it's where it starts to really bite. And it's not easy, and I didn't expect it to be, but the pain is real. When I most recently had a public hearing on the health subcommittee of appropriations, where we looked, for example, at some serious potential cuts to mental health services and inmate health care, and they will bite, and they're a little frightening, and so we have to figure out what we're going to do about that, and whether we can deliver to those communities the care that they need and deserve by looking at other aspects of the budget. So it's going to be hard. So which reminds me that I wanted to go back to another point that I think I made either last week or the week before. I get a lot of people who ask me, we hear all about all this new revenue, but we never hear about cuts. And I, at the time, said, which is still true, that part of that has to do with the timing of the process. And we were waiting for the governor's budget, and then that goes through. But the truth is, there's another aspect to it, which is that it is much easier to stand up and pound the table about saying no to new revenue sources, because nobody wants to hand more money over to the government, to Hartford, to the state government. We are all in the same boat. Nobody wants to do that. So that's an easier argument to make. It is harder to argue on behalf of specific cuts to specific agencies that will hurt specific people. We have to be responsible about how we spend our money. We have to make sure it's efficient. We're going to have to ask a lot of hard questions, but it's a less popular thing to get up and do. So that actually is another reason why in the press we hear less about the cutting end of the budget, although certainly that's going to happen, and that's the job of the Appropriations Committee to look seriously at that. So as we look at these big topics and budget cuts and other big topics that have been subject of public hearing this week, including tolls and the minimum wage, I have found another sort of not lesson but a reminder about something about myself, which is that I really do not trust overheated rhetoric. When I hear somebody pounding the table, demonizing people who disagree with them, using snarky language about a political opponent, that turns me off because I have found it to be a really good practice, both intellectually and personally, to try to really understand somebody who disagrees with me. And not just understand the person, but understand the argument they're trying to make, and to try to articulate the best case for that. And I know that a lot of other legislators do this too, but when I'm meeting with lobbyists, for example, that is almost the first thing I make them do, is make the argument on the other side. Because you learn more, and you get to a more reasonable place when you can cut that overheated rhetoric out of the conversation, because it really, scaring people and, ruling by fear or intimidation, I think is not productive. So be on the lookout for that when someone uses that kind of language and overheated, all caps, red letters, that maybe there's something else going on there. Maybe they're not appealing to your mind. So I wanted to highlight also a couple of bills that came up this week that I think are really interesting. They're not in my committee. One, I participated in a press conference on this bill. It's HB 7125, and it has to do with mental health parity. And it seeks to essentially make sure that mental health is treated equally with physical health with respect to insurance coverage. And that is not the case today for a variety of reasons. And this bill seeks to increase transparency about that, and in terms of prescription costs and the treatment for substance abuse disorders and other mental health issues. And so I think that's a really interesting bill that I'm going to keep an eye on. Another one is the Insurance Committee unveiled HB 7267, which is a Connecticut version of the public option. And there are many reasons I'm interested in that, but among them, I think it is a way to help small businesses, and in particular at a time when we are likely to be passing, say the family earned family medical leave, which I think is a very good policy for workers, but is undoubtedly going to increase costs for businesses, and I hear them on that, as is the minimum wage. So it's important to me to work with businesses on other aspects of their cost structure, and that includes healthcare, which has really produced some crippling costs. And this public option is a way to help small businesses and workers control those costs and bring them into order. So I'm really interested in that bill. Again, it's something that both of these bills highly complicated and will require a lot of detail, but I'm looking forward to looking at them, and I hope maybe you'll follow them too. So a couple of really fun things. Representative Michelle Cook from Torrington and I hosted a bunch of classes from Forbes School this week. We conducted mock sessions in chamber yesterday and today, which is super fun. And so if you're a student or if you're a teacher and that would be something you're interested in, please come out. It's really fun. We love to have kids here. It's a great process. So please sign up. It makes our day. So it's fun for us. And next week, some 8th graders from the Kellogg School are going to continue their advocacy for the environment and testify in front of the Environment Committee. So I'm really excited about that too. So lastly, I do have office hours tomorrow. I apologize for rescheduling last week. I have to say that it gave me sympathy for every school administrator who's had to declare a snow day, because I don't want to put people on the roads in unsafe conditions. On the other hand, you don't want to be that person that cancels something and then there's no snow. Well, it turns out I was the latter. At least in Salisbury, we had very little snow, and I think in Norfolk also very little as well. So I'm sorry about that. But we are on for tomorrow in Norfolk, 10 to 12 at the Norfolk Hub. And I hope lots of you can come out and join me, because I really, really love to talk to people in person. I think that's a really valuable experience. So have a great weekend, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow.